Whitaker turned to boxing. His life was tough, and only in the ring could he be so in control, in command, in charge.
He grew up the runt of the Young Park Projects in Norfolk, Virginia. He never stood an inch taller than 5 foot 5 inches and was skinny even for his size. Growing up the smallest guy in the ghetto inevitably meant bullies. While he could outrun anybody, Pernell Whitaker knew the bullies would be there the next day. So skinny little Pernell fought. He understood he'd come up on the wrong end of a contest of raw strength. So Pernell Whitaker, soon to be dubbed Sweet Pea, had only his heart and his patience. Eventually, when those big boys got tired of swinging and missing, Pernell was the one doing the bullying. Pernell was 9 when a boxing trainer watched him outlast and break down another bigger bully and brought him to the gym. His natural ability for fighting was given focus. For once, Pernell was getting picked on by somebody his own size. He grew in the gym into a creature of thoughtless, effortless efficiency. He had the gift and curse of left-handedness.
By Whitaker. Pernell Whitaker may be the man to make the move in professional boxing. He may actually remember the 98 meter score.
The impeccable balance of a weeble wobble. But his true gift had to be brought out of him. While his offense was a well-rounded and workmanlike take on the classic southpaw formula, the jab dictated the pace. Body work did his damage. He's one of the few elite fighters who never missed an opportunity to throw a body punch. The straight left carried deceptive power. His defense was as deep and intricate as bullet chess. Pernell Whitaker's nervous system sat at the bleeding edge of human ability. Like his eyes were wired directly into his spinal column to avoid the meddling interference of conscious thought. He routinely made entire combinations miss by millimeters. He fought with his eyes open, a physical clairvoyant who saw everything coming. In 1984, after nearly 300 amateur fights, Pernell takes gold at the 1984 Olympics with a dominant performance.
Against the Korean, but won the unanimous difference in the nature of the scoring. Whitaker picking off Ortiz. So far, not able to get off those ropes. Now, on the tournament with Amanda Holyfield. Pummeling Ortiz. Now the first standing 8 count. Well, you've come all the way. You said you were the hardest hitting guy in the world, and you sure proved it right here.
Pernell goes pro. His 12th pro fight, and he's already fighting for a title against a big name. Roger Mayweather was a former champion at age 25, already run up a record of 26-4. Pernell would set the tone early with a venomous hook that sat the Black Mamba down. Mayweather found his feet, but finding Pernell was far more difficult.
Try to get him lunging to come in. Use his height reach advantage. Try to get Pernell lunging and then catch him with the right coming. The only quarrel they might have with this beat Pernell Whitaker during a break in round 2. By far, man is taking, except for a
until Pernell lunged into a left hand and fell short, leaving himself in range for Rogers' right hand.
Moving right hand. He's hurt. Whitaker's hurt. He hits him while he's down. Roger Mayweather. Sleight lost him. It is our president Mayweather may have been acting, but he just looked over in his corner. He's a tired fight for the rest of us, and he has what it takes to be a world champion.
Sweet Pea finished the fight strong to take his first title on the cards. He won his second title against Greg Haugen.
He lost the decision of that. Just got that jab there too quick. Pernell Whitaker was for him to fight going backward.
Once again, it was that wicked southpaw jab that would dictate the action.
Right jab for Pernell Whitaker. Bend over to get leverage. Who would initiate the action? Both of them like to
Greg found it hilarious at first.
2 out of the first 4 rounds. Oh, he definitely thinks that. He says Whitaker tired against Ramirez. He's tired of Ramirez. He's tired against Mayweather. Good body punch right. He's really not being forced there by Whitaker. And another solid left. I mean, no one ever labeled him a knockout.
After a few more clean connections, the smile was gone from Haugen's face.
Haugen driven backwards and through forward. And after he tried that behind the match. A scoring combination by Pernell Whitaker. This round we're going to be taking a station.
Greg wasn't having fun anymore. Pernell put him on a knee with a short counter left hand in the 6th.
Greg Haugen looking very much like a man who's been in a war, and Pernell Whitaker looked like he was reading the Saturday afternoon newspaper over in his corner, Alex.
While Haugen survived, he didn't win a single second of the fight. The decision was as wide as the skill gap.
Did you ever dream there'd be days like this?
Well, I always dream. You know, dreams are for dreamers, and I dream, and I figured one day I would win a world title, but I wanted to win it at home, and thank Greg Haugen for giving me that opportunity.
Azumah Nelson is unquestionably the greatest African-born boxer to ever step through the ropes. He was a fixture of the lighter weights, engaging in classics with great fighters and beating down the good ones. And he went up to 135 and got in another classic fight with Pernell Whitaker.
With 3 straight jabs and Nels Whitaker around the ring.
Sweet Pea stayed on the back foot, precise, calculating, and deadly accurate. His jab was used the same way a lion trainer uses a stool. Anytime Azumah got close, Pernell poked him in the face.
Was trying to annoy him. Nelson had some trouble in the early rounds with the southpaw named Whitaker throwing the punch behind his back to Nelson.
The left hand and right hooks were the whip.
And Whitaker's corner being delivered not by Azumah.
Nelson also the fact that you notice Pernell Whitaker goes way down too.
You see Nelson in.
Throw more punches, get inside, and you should see a great deal of change.
The defensive master put on a jab clinic so thorough, Azumah Nelson was now immune to malaria. But Azumah frankly did not seem to care.
Not even all fighters understand.
When the final bell rings, Azumah had taken over 460 shots, but never took a step back.
Whitaker. He brought the best out of himself, and he brought the best out of me. Take no bones away from it. It was a tremendous fight.
Sweet Pea had a much easier night the next time out against Juan Nazario for the Undisputed Championship.
Conventional fighters going against one another.
That was the body shots. Beautiful.
In the first round, he catches Juan Nazario with a vicious left to the body. Juan had his hand by his hip as he charged, and Pernell speared him on a perfect straight left that left him wondering what happened. Whitaker became the first undisputed world lightweight champion since Roberto Duran.
Reaction. Nobody knew the punch.
And Nazario's still down.
It's the punch you don't see, as we've often said before. That's the one that hurts you the most.
After a brief stop at 140, Pernell went all the way up to welterweights and took on champion Buddy McGirt.
Folks, what we have here tonight is one for the fans of the sweet science of boxing rather than the brutal truths of prize fighting. Buddy McGirt and Pernell Whitaker are stylish, almost perfect boxers, throwbacks to another time, a time when violent chess was often the way this game was really played.
It was an obvious size mismatch that obviously didn't matter much.
Be a referee at all in a fight like this, and one that's been out for so long. Talking about Buddy McGirt, he's now for the middleweight. Hit me again.
Buddy was a bigger, very skilled opponent, but Pernell had a mix of perfect timing, impeccable balance, and underrated toughness.
Buddy McGirt seemingly beginning to assume control of the battle here.
Throw a shot anyway, which is a good thing. You got to land some points. You just can't go for the weakening of the body.
And there's one, and the jab, and the left hand, and suddenly Pernell Whitaker's
Sweet Pea grew up fighting bigger men and found he rather liked it.
Trent believes that you can't let McGirt.
And then only he's definitely having some left hand problems, left arm problems. But it's right hand by Pernell Whitaker.
While Buddy hung tough with a shoulder injury,
There it is again. Whitaker follows with the left. The two fighting. It took McGirt 19 more fights to get another title shot. Tonight,
Sweet Pea proved himself a class above.
retains his title, if in fact the bout is a draw. His heart on full and open display.
Taking the welterweight title, leapfrogging the other generational genius he would inevitably share a ring with.
Sweet Pea Whitaker.
On sheer longevity, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter spot was occupied by Julio Cesar Chavez. He was an undefeated fighter with 87 wins. Just months after Pernell won his gold medal, Chavez won his first championship. He'd been winning title fights up at 140 after running through the 130 and 135 weight classes. By December of '93, in front of a massively pro-Chavez crowd in San Antonio, the two best fighters in boxing would finally meet.
Here we go. Raw, get
On your opponent.
Yes, sir.
The roles were largely set before they ever got in the ring.
We have judges from foreign countries. Oh, good action. 3 down to the break.
Chavez was an avowed pressure fighter,
Another good shot.
a combination puncher on the inside, with a defensively sound ability to cut the ring.
Joe Frazier certainly did not lead his fight. 2 rounds and now this fight's even.
At any range, at any distance, second by second, and punch for punch, Pernell Whitaker made the greatest Mexican fighter of all time look like a mere contender.
That cat and mouse game again in the corner.
Continue to go on. No Cortez will continue.
Joe Cortez is losing control of this.
I think the Pernell solid balance. He stands. But that was because of a bad back.
He's frustrating Chavez today.
Julio got his shots in and took 2 in return. While the first half of the fight was close, Pernell swept every second of the second half.
Well, he is small. You know, I used to call him, he may be ranked higher. He's tentative. He's
Chavez is not quite whatever he looks like. Oh, nice right hand.
Whitaker with the left.
He's got his own title to defend it.
Pernell clearly took the fight, but got the fight taken from him on the cards. It was ruled a draw.
A draw, you can see the reaction of Sweet Pea.
Even the pro-Chavez crowd booed the decision. In his last great performance against Cuban contender Disabelis Hurtado,
Totally known quantity. Hurtado at this level, totally unknown. And Hurtado plants Whitaker on his butt.
Hurtado was nearly 6 feet tall, with reach and awkward punch selection.
Has won at loses the first round here, and now
He's got to cut off the ring with his fists. He can't just do it with his
Hurtado's skill and size made it difficult for Pernell to get and stay inside, where he could make better use of his short reach.
out of his game plan early.
First their legs go, then their chin goes, then their friends go.
Costner's going to have a better chance of reviewing that.
Hurtado could hit him from across the ring,
He's going to be connecting on a guy who's really going on his jab at all. And Hurtado.
but even still, Sweet Pea's genius jab kept him in the fight.
and doesn't come back with a hook. And that's what he troubles for.
Hurtado was mobile and skilled himself. And unlike most Pernell Whitaker fights, even the late rounds were going to the Cuban.
Down goes Whitaker for the second time in the fight.
Later rounds, Whitaker's always a game fighter. He's
Down on all the cards, Sweet feints a jab, then feints it again as he steps into a sweeping left hand that rocks Hurtado. There was nothing sweet about his finishing instincts Pernell put on.
That's what boxing is all about.
And that's what champions do.
In 2019, the greatest defensive southpaw to appear on film, at age 55, steps off a curb in Virginia and is rammed into by a driver. No charges were pressed. No investigation was launched because there was nothing to learn. It was a freak accident with a freak athlete. And it's up there amongst the cruelest ironies a chaotic universe can offer. A miracle of fine motor coordination and otherworldly spatial awareness, whose entire life was devoted to not being in the way, was mowed down by a truck at a dark intersection for no reason at all. He died on the scene in front of a gas station at 10 p.m. It's like waking up to find Superman got paralyzed by a horse. It's outlandish to the point of barely believable. Pernell himself once said, "If I didn't want God to hit me, he wouldn't." Father Time is an undefeated pressure fighter. It's persistent long past the final round. In Pernell's case, he had to fight dirty. Time recognizes no rules beyond its own dominance. The only final bell it recognizes rings from a steeple as the dear departed get left in the dirt. It's the ones you didn't see coming that really hurt.